So
Yeah.
anyways, a quick summary of what we're getting into today, guys, is the 12 steps. So first, deciding where you're going. So what is your end goal? Two, what is the most efficient way to get there? Because of course we want to get there as quickly as we can. Number three, where are you right now? And what do you currently have access to? Probably more than you realize. Number four, you have to correct your nutritional, vitamin, and hormone deficiencies and imbalances, as well as your sleep and many other things. Get those corrected so you can perform highly, which is what I specialize in. Next, number five, you'll have to learn and progressively apply the most effective forms of cardio. If one of your goals is fat loss or just being healthy in general, heart is the most important muscle in your body. Number six would be learning and progressively utilizing the most efficient exercises. Again, something else I am amazing at. Thank you. Biomechanics specialist here, or how physics affects anatomy. So we're going to talk about targeting your muscles efficiently and correctly. You can even do it at home. You don't need a gym or anything else. We're going to be talking about learning and applying correct sets and rep ranges, how to do it for yourself, how to understand it simply and easily. The principles of muscle growth broken down real simple. Next, we're going to be talking about learning and applying a progressive corrective diet. This is nothing crazy. It's just slowly eating healthier, changing your lifestyle to be integrating healthier foods so your performance is optimized, you lose weight, get healthier. Pretty easy, just very misunderstood. I'm going to break it down real simple. Then, number nine, we're going to get into decluttering and reorganizing your lifestyle and your environment for success, because if your environment's a mess, you ain't going to be successful. If you don't have the things around you that you need to be successful, or the people around you that you need to be successful, you will not be. If you're surrounded by losers, you will be a loser. That's how it works. So time to reorganize. It's a new year, guys. Number 10, we're talking about how to schedule things, how to schedule your training, your cardio, your food, your sleep, schedule these things for efficiency so you have an efficient lifestyle. So you can't have to tell people, oh, I don't have time. You will have time. You have time for things that are important. You have a lot more time if you spend less time in the gym, less time wasting time. You suddenly have a lot of time. So we're going to talk about that, how important it is. Step number 11 is pretty easy. You're going to learn how to adapt and overcome every day, because every day is a new day. And if you do your best every day, that's all anybody can ask of you. Forget about the past. Just do your best today. And the final step, it's real simple. If you're training my way, and you're training to be progressively getting better in life, there's only one way to do that. You must be willing to fail continuously, and fail more often than other people. That does not mean quit. You are a failure. You're not a quitter. There's nothing wrong with being a failure. Successful people fail far more often than you. They take the pain of rejection far more often than you do. It's why they are successful. They're not afraid of that pain. So I'm going to talk about that as well. So if I haven't scared you away yet, I'm going to go ahead and get into it.
Hello and welcome. I am Coach Castle, a certified biomechanics expert, nutritionalist, and efficiency coach. Subscribe to this channel to learn the most efficient ways to maximize your muscle growth and recovery, enhance your body, and advance your mind, all using the latest science. Welcome to Castle's Corner.
Hello and welcome to Castle's Corner. I am Coach Castle, joined today by Jackie Laggy. She's back again, this time remotely. She couldn't join me in person. It is like a 4.5-hour drive, as I learned myself the other day, going up to visit her for Christmas. But thank you for joining us. She's here today to specifically assist me and help out with a topic for you guys. We're talking about New Year's resolutions. We're talking about specifically, I don't like to half-ass things. So the perfect plan, the exact steps necessary to accomplish that plan. There's 12 of them. And I'm going to go through them all quickly as I can, but thoroughly. And Jackie's here to keep me on track, ask the questions you guys probably want to know the answers to. I've been told many times I get too complicated sometimes. So she'll be helping out, keep me on track with that. So thank you for helping out there, Jackie. You always seem to do this job, so thank you.
Thanks for having me. You know what the hardest part about New Year's resolutions is, right?
What's that?
Sticking with them.
Well, yeah, it's a strange thing. I've never actually set one myself. I've never been like, oh, it's a new year, I'm going to do this year.
I know.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I set weekly and daily and quarterly and monthly, goals, but I've never set a I think the closest I would have said is a yearly goal. Like I'll sometimes set yearly goals, within 365 days, this must be accomplished.
Yeah.
But it's never on the New Year's, I don't think. But anyway, so all you guys who might have trouble sticking to New Year's resolutions, a big reason you guys have trouble is because you fall off the wagon and then you think, oh no, I'm off, I can't get back on. And you let your ego get in the way with you. I mean, you guys know how it is. You said, oh, I'm going to do my workout at 6 o'clock. Well, it's 6:10 and you're like, oh, well, I missed my window. Guess I can't work out today. No, I hear it all the time. So no, that's silly, guys. Instead of doing that, if you only have 30 minutes left to do your workout, we'll just get in there and do something. Do 2 sets, do 3 sets, do 2 exercises, do something. Go for a walk, even if you're very lazy. Doesn't matter. Drop the ego. Doing something's better than nothing. Seriously, anything is better than nothing. Anything, and that's non-debatable, really, as long as it doesn't damage you, I suppose. So, anyways, a quick summary of what we're getting into today, guys, is the 12 steps. So first, deciding where you're going. So what is your end goal? 2, what is the most efficient way to get there? Because, of course, we want to get there as quickly as we can. Number 3, where are you right now? And what do you currently have access to? Probably more than you realize. Number 4, you have to correct your nutritional, vitamin, and hormone deficiencies and imbalances, as well as your sleep and many other things. Get those corrected so you can perform highly, which is what I specialize in. Next, number 5, you'll have to learn and progressively apply the most effective forms of cardio. If one of your goals is fat loss or just being healthy in general, heart is the most important muscle in your body. Number 6 would be learning and progressively utilizing the most efficient exercises. Again, something else I am amazing at. Thank you. Biomechanics specialist here, or how physics affects anatomy. So we're going to talk about targeting your muscles efficiently and correctly. You can even do it at home. You don't need a gym or anything else. We're going to be talking about learning and applying correct sets and rep ranges, how to do it for yourself, how to understand it simply and easily. The principles of muscle growth broken down real simple. Next, we're going to be talking about learning and applying a progressive corrective diet. This is nothing crazy. It's just slowly eating healthier, changing your lifestyle to be integrating healthier foods so your performance is optimized, you lose weight, get healthier. Pretty easy, just very misunderstood. I'm going to break it down real simple. Then, number 9, we're going to get into decluttering and reorganizing your lifestyle and your environment for success, because if your environment's a mess, you ain't going to be successful. If you don't have the things around you that you need to be successful, or the people around you that you need to be successful, you will not be. If you're surrounded by losers, you will be a loser. That's how it works. So time to reorganize. It's a new year, guys. Number 10, we're talking about how to schedule things, how to schedule your training, your cardio, your food, your sleep, schedule these things for efficiency so you have an efficient lifestyle. So you can't have to tell people, oh, I don't have time. You will have time. You have time for things that are important. You have a lot more time if you spend less time in the gym, less time wasting time. You suddenly have a lot of time. So we're going to talk about that, how important it is. Step number 11 is pretty easy. You're going to learn how to adapt and overcome every day, because every day is a new day. And if you do your best every day, that's all anybody can ask of you. Forget about the past. Just do your best today. And the final step is real simple. If you're training my way, and you're training to be progressively getting better in life, there's only one way to do that. You must be willing to fail continuously, and fail more often than other people. That does not mean quit. You are a failure. You're not a quitter. There's nothing wrong with being a failure. Successful people fail far more often than you. They take the pain of rejection far more often than you do. It's why they are successful. They're not afraid of that pain. So I'm going to talk about that as well. So if I haven't scared you away yet, I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I hope this helps everybody. I'm going to be as thorough as I can. Of course, there will be many things I cannot get to. I'm just going to keep everything as simple as I can. Leave your questions in the comments below. Of course, I'll get to them as soon as I can, or even make a video if it's a good enough question. So, Jackie, anything to add before we get into it?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited to get started.
Oh, I hope I have enough mental energy for this. It's a lot. So
Sure you do.
do my best. It's a long day.
You always do.
We'll try. So, all right, everybody. So it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who in the world you are. What is your end goal? The reason people don't set goals, the reason people don't create targets and deadlines for themselves is they don't like a sense of urgency and they don't like the fear of failure. That's why they don't set goals. They don't say what they actually want out loud. They don't write it down. They don't set a date on their calendar. That's because if you leave these things foggy and kind of like, at a distance, you're not really sure what it is, got blurry vision about it, well, then it's not that big of a deal because you never have to experience failure. Now, you all know that if you set a deadline for something, I only have 1 week to do this, you will get it done within that week, generally speaking. Now, if you give yourself a week to lose a pound, or you give yourself a month to lose a pound, you're going to take as long as you possibly can. It might even be a month. At a month's time, you might even be a failure at that point because you've forgotten. It's been a whole month. So you have to be very clear with what you want. Do you want to be a bodybuilder? You will need to train and eat and sleep and supplement as a bodybuilder. Do you want to be a swimmer? Well, you better not be training and eating and sleeping like a bodybuilder. Do you want to be a long distance runner? Okay, well, don't train like a sprinter. Does this make sense to you guys? Whatever you want to be, you will need to train for it. Yes, that even if your goal is just lose fat and be healthy, I hear that all the time, lose fat, be healthy. You need to know what that means. How much weight do you want to lose? And when I say weight, I mean fat. How much fat do you specifically want to lose? Be clear about it. 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 50 pounds, how much exactly? How long are you going to give yourself to lose that weight? A reasonable estimation, depending on where you're at, would be half a pound to 1 pound of fat loss per week. That's 3,500 calories subtracted from your diet weekly through either cardio or exercise. Okay, that's how much a pound of fat is, 3,500 calories. So how are you going to do that in a week? How will you? Well, you're not going to if you don't have a plan because you're not going to know if it's working. You have no idea. You have to be aware, you have to have a goal, you have to have steps to get there. So whatever it is that you want, find somebody who has already attained that body that you want. Get pictures of them, multiple people who have that body you want. We all have very similar bodies and builds. Just find similar people to your body and build, get pictures of those people so you know what you can look like. Yes, it is possible. So then you have a clear idea. Doesn't matter what sport or whatever it may be, find somebody who's at the top of it, who looks like you and who is behaving and living a lifestyle that you want, okay? Then your job is to reverse engineer it. So just basically step one, set your goal, identify exactly what you want. This is something a lot of people struggle with. They tell me they're power lifters, but they're training like bodybuilders. They tell me they're bodybuilders, but they're training like strongmen. It doesn't make any sense. So make sure that your training is lined up with where you actually want to go. So that's step number one.
But
go ahead.
In setting goals, you also have to be realistic. And sometimes many people don't know what reality is in those goals, in attaining those goals, right? So it's
yes.
important to know.
A good example would be fat loss is a great example. Right. People will go on diets. They'll go like specifically a keto diet, for example, and they'll talk about how they lost 7 pounds in a week and they're very happy about that. Well, it could be true actually, but the thing is you have to understand that 7 pounds, it's not fat. You don't lose it that quickly. That 7 pounds is mostly water and food mass from your intestine. You didn't actually lose 7 pounds of fat. You lost 7 pounds of weight. If you're lucky, you lost a pound of fat. Realistic expectations, you're not going to lose 10, 20, 30 pounds of fat in a month. And if you do, you didn't do it healthy. You did it by starving yourself, by damaging your body, increasing your food cravings, damaging I'm not going to get into it, but you didn't do it healthily. So suffice to say, a realistic expectation, again, for most people, is half a pound to 1 pound per week. If you do that, you won't be experiencing food cravings. You won't be having interrupted sleep. You won't be, the usual thing is when you go on a diet. But in order to do that, you have to plan carefully. So easy way to do it would be just to track your food for 3 or 4 days, find out how much food you're actually eating, and then back that up, figure out, so I'm eating 3,000 calories a day, basically, on average, and then say, well, for the whole week, I need to make sure that I'm eating 2,500 calories a day. So if you do that, you're subtracting 500 calories a day. By the end of the week, that 500 calories a day times 7 is 3,500 calories, meaning you just lost a pound of fat just by subtracting 500 calories a day. That 500 calories a day of subtraction will probably not cause any food cravings or anything else because it's such a low amount. You're not starving yourself. You can also add foods which are very high volume and low calorie, high in fiber. These things keep you feeling full. You add protein, keeps you feeling full. But you have to be realistic. It took you years to put all that fat on. It does take a long time to take it off safely. If your goal is building muscle, you're not going to build 10 pounds of muscle in a month. It doesn't happen. It doesn't matter who says that they did. It's not possible. If you want to build 10 pounds of muscle in a year, I mean, it could hypothetically be possible if you are a genetic elite who is taking the best drugs known to man and your training program is perfect, then possibly. But a realistic expectation is between 1 to 2, maybe 3 or 4 pounds of muscle in a year. And that's if everything is perfect and you have, let's just say, good genetics and you're able to keep your stress levels low and, you know, a number of other factors. My goal every year is 2 to 4 pounds muscle. That's my goal every year. But that's a stretch. Most people can't manage a very structured lifestyle year round like I do. It's pretty hard for most people. But let's move on to number 2. So then you know where you want to go, or you know who you want to be like, or whatever it may be, what your goal is exactly. Then you have to reverse engineer it. So let's go to the fat loss example, because a lot of people just want to lose fat. So let's just go to there. Reverse engineering it. If you are, I don't know, let's say you are 40 pounds overweight, that means you need to lose 40 pounds of fat. So how long is it going to realistically take you to lose 40 pounds of fat? Well, realistically, if you're careful, you can do it in about 35 weeks. That's realistic. Now, reverse engineering that is the way I just explained it to you, the way that you would do your calories. You just figure out your calories, you'd subtract a set amount per day. You can also do, by the way, you can do like subtracting 200 calories from food and then increasing your energy expenditure. So do your workouts and do your cardio. Subtract 300 calories that way, plus minus 200, or plus the subtracting 200 calories as well from the food, and you'll get minus 500 calories. It's the same thing. And you're also getting your body healthier. But I'm not trying to make things too complicated here. So it's very easy. So you just reverse engineer the way that you got there. So anybody who got to any high level of achievement did it by either copying somebody else or copying previous information. I mean, that's just how the world works. It's how we are as humans. Nothing is just invented spontaneously that works amazing. You have to build things step by step. So figure out what they did, who they talked to, how they trained, and do the same exact thing yourself. If you're able to, I always recommend speak to these people if they're still alive, ask them to mentor you, ask them questions. You'd be surprised what you can do being persistent with some phone calls and emails, guys. But anyway, so just figure out what they did, because lots of times what somebody did to get somewhere was not very efficient. But then once they got there, they understood the things that actually got them there, and they can save you a lot of time, effort, and years of trouble by telling you the efficient way to get there. So that's a good way to go about doing it. That's really low effort. Okay, so number 3, where are you right now and what do you have currently? So I say this all the time, but everything that you have right now is everything that you need. Everyone currently, wherever they are in the world, pretty much already has everything that they need, at least to get started, and to get a really good start too, as well, I might add. But on top of that, goes back to where do you want to go? You can't decide where you want to go or how long it's going to take you to get there until you know where you are right now. So again, how many pounds of fat do you need to lose? Well, get on a scale, measure yourself. Get a ruler, get a measuring tape, measure yourself, your arms, go online, just Google how to do these things, YouTube how to do it. It's very simple. You have to measure your body. You have to track your weight. You have to track your food. I mean, you don't have to, but if you're serious about it, you will. So how are you going to know if you're changing if you're not measuring yourself? How are you going to know if your muscles are getting bigger if you don't make measurements of them? How are you going to know if you're losing fat if you're not taking measurements and weighing yourself? You're guessing. Guessing doesn't help. You need to know exactly. You need to know if what you're doing is working or not, because if it's not, well, then you have to adapt and change something. You have to figure out what needs to be changed so you continue making progress. Progress should be made daily and weekly. I have no understanding why people say there will be plateaus. There should never be plateaus. If there's a plateau, it's because you're not paying attention to something. You're not tracking something and you're not applying and adapting. That's what's happening when there's a plateau. There should never be a plateau, ever. And if you do have one, it should be very short. So let me put to you guys this way. Weight is weight. I say it all the time. Weight is weight. So if you're in a third world country and you can get 2 buckets and either water or sand and a stick, you can have an amazing full body workout. If you can add a chair to that, you can have a leg workout too. I mean, guys, you don't need gyms, you don't need fancy stuff. Most people already have everything that they need for a great workout in their house. When I say great workout, we're going to get into that later and what I mean by that. But there's just one best way to work out. And you don't need a lot of weight to do it. You don't need a gym to do it. You certainly don't need a personal trainer to do it or anything else. You just need the knowledge. Like with most things, once you have the knowledge, you're set. So you just have to figure out where you are currently. Figure out your weight, figure out your measurements, figure out how much food you are currently eating, how much are you sleeping, how much time are you wasting, how much time are you spending on certain tasks. Like literally measure yourself, check yourself like a robot, like go through the motions. Who is the stranger? How much time does they spend on these activities? You know, figure out who you are. A lot of people don't even know who they are, what they spend time on. They're like robots. So observe yourself like a stranger. Take notes. Watch yourself, guys. Watch yourself. Figure out where you are. Then you can know where you're going to go. So moving on to the next one. You need to be correcting your nutrition, vitamins, and hormone deficiencies. So this is a biggie. This is a big one. That, oh my goodness. Yeah, this is a biggie that so many people don't even understand. So to keep this one simple, you're basically just a big bag of chemicals. That's what you are as humans. We're just big bags of chemicals, and those chemicals can very easily get out of balance. And when they do, basically you deteriorate. Doesn't particularly matter what the scenario is. If your chemicals are out of balance, something is deteriorating. That's the way things work. So it's impossible through diet alone to get all of the vitamins and minerals that you need. Okay. If you're a man and you don't have fat in your diet, you won't be making testosterone. You need that to produce the hormone testosterone. So many guys I see are on these no-fat diets, they're not producing testosterone, they can't figure things out. Well, that's why, guys. You must supplement, and you must find out what supplements that you need. So again, this goes back to just kind of finding out where you want to go. A lot of that is actually doing the research about what needs to be done to your body. So, I mean, just a good example is if you live somewhere where it's really hot and you're outside, or your cardio is running outside or jogging outside in the sun, you have to be taking electrolyte and salt pills with water daily to replenish those minerals that you're sweating out of your body. Because if you don't, your performance is going to be severely inhibited. If you're a vegan and you're not eating beef, you must take a creatine supplement. Because if you don't, you will not be able to your power output and your muscles and everything else will be 10 times weaker than they would be if you were taking the creatine. I mean, it's night and day difference. I mean, these are because people choose these lifestyles, but they don't understand the nuances of what they're doing to their body. Another big one is hormones. I mean, I know you know about this. We've talked about this considerably, but as you get older, your hormones deteriorate. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or what you do with your diet or anything else. They will deteriorate. And you have to take extra hormones. You have to. You must if you want to be healthy. I mean, how many have you been taking? You've tried a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but no, what I was going to say is, I mean, in this section alone, you could probably spend hours talking about it, but I know you have some of the great podcasts that specifically address this. And I encourage everyone to go and check them out, because it's a very important section that I know you're hitting upon it briefly now, but you could go on and on for hours about nutrients and supplements and hormones and yeah.
It's huge. I could, hours and hours of content with this alone. But just to keep it short, guys, you have to address these things. A really easy way to do this is just taking a test online. Well, there's many different ways to do it. You can get blood work. You have to do blood work for your hormones. There's a little test for that. There's a little spit test you can do to check out what foods you're allergic to, what kind of foods cause inflammation.
There's a couple of good ones online too that you could take. Sorry.
No, you're good. No, there's quite a few that I recommend my clients, but I do recommend, guys, that you take these supplement deficiency tests. You take the blood work. I do blood work twice a year. Your food, what you're eating, has a huge effect on your health and your body and your gut biome. You have to, I mean, that's a whole other couple hours, but you have to take care of your gut biome. People don't even know what that is. Look into my other videos where I talk about the gut biome. You have to maintain a healthy gut biome. Lots of times, just talking about diet alone, just diet alone, guys. Why do you think in the middle of the night you want to get up and go to the refrigerator and eat chocolate cake. Why is it sometimes you're in the grocery store and you buy the chocolate and the Reese's and you get the ice cream and you're eating that stuff? You don't want to do that if you're on a diet. I'll tell you why you're doing it. It's not your logical human brain that's doing that. That's your gut biome. You have bacteria in your stomach that you've been putting there, the sugar that you've been putting there, who want to keep alive and who want to keep replicating themselves. They literally hijack your brain and they say, hey, go to the damn store or the cupboard of the refrigerator and feed us. That's really what sugar addiction is. It's your gut biome being out of balance, basically, and the bacteria just kind of hijacking your brain. So it's just a great example of what happens if you don't take care of your gut biome, your minerals, your vitamin deficiencies. If your hormones are out of balance, by the way, if you're a man and your testosterone is lower than 500, you won't even build muscle. If it's lower than 800, you won't build muscle. You'll maintain muscle, but you won't build it. And this happens to most guys over the age of 30. If you're an obese guy, if you're fat, your testosterone is super low. It's super low. It's got to get checked. I mean, if you're over the age of 35, it's got to get checked. If you're not taking testosterone and it's below 800, you're never, ever, no matter what you do, you won't build muscle because you need that hormone to build the muscle. I mean, I could go on about this for a long time, guys, but just get your tests, get your stuff checked out. It doesn't cost that much money. Most people just do it once a year. It's very important. Is it necessary? No, there's kind of ways to get around it for a lot of it. You can guess some things, but it's not as effective as getting the test done. I would strongly recommend just saving whatever, $20 a week for a month and then getting the test at the end of the month. It's totally worth it. But anyways, so let's get on to the fun stuff. So that's just getting your baseline and establishing where you want to go. So now we're going to get to the fun stuff. Let's get into the first one. So learning and progressively applying the most efficient cardio. So I'm not going to get too much into this, but again, it does depend on where you want to go. So if you're a bodybuilder, odds are very high that your cardio will either be walking on stairs, walking on an incline treadmill, walking on a flat treadmill, walking outside, or steady state on an elliptical. Now, the reason for that is when you do slow, steady state cardio, that doesn't accelerate your heart rate too much. Basically, you don't burn the glucose stored in your muscles. You basically just kind of mobilize the brown fat, and you're more likely to be burning fat for energy, as opposed to the glucose you'd be using for exercise or for running or jumping rope or things like that. Because it's slow and steady state, you'll be burning fat, basically, and you do it for a prolonged period of time. If you are a sprinter, there's no reason that you would be doing slow, steady state cardio. You'd be training HIIT style training. You'd be doing sprints. You'd be doing, short distance, long distance, form correcting sprints. If you are a swimmer, your cardio would be swimming. You wouldn't be biking for your cardio. You'd be doing swimming for your cardio. So it does depend on that. But you want to find out what is the most efficient style. So again, so many people I see are confused with their training styles. They're bodybuilders, but they're doing sprinting and running. Doesn't make sense to be doing that. I mean, if you're combining things, if you're like some kind of a hybrid, that's your business. But if you're trying to be a bodybuilder, that's counterproductive. It doesn't make sense to do that. A lot of people I see, boxers are a good example. Boxers who do long, slow jogs. You don't do that in the boxing ring. Why are you training like that, doing long, slow jogs? It doesn't make any sense. You should be doing high intense bouts of 1 to 2 to 3 minutes of high intense cardio. You need to be increasing your VO2 max to handle that. It doesn't make sense for you to be doing slow jogs. That's not what you do in the ring. So just make sure that your cardio is tailored to what you're trying to do and do the most effective form of it. Guys, it's really just a Google away. I mean, most of these things, a couple of Googles in, you can figure it right out. It's not complicated training. You just have to be willing to do the training. Most people, they're just like, well, I like this kind of training, so I'm not going to do that kind of training. Well, then you're not going to get as effective results. So the gist of it is you want to do the most effective thing as effectively as possible that you're able to do with what you have. And for most people, again, you have basically everything that you need. I mean, especially if you're anything like a bodybuilder, a boxer, a sprinter, anything I've already said, most people have everything they need in their house. They don't even need a gym to be those things.
Right.
Really. So, so that's the cardio aspect. Just make sure if it's fat loss cardio, then you're doing slow, steady cardio. You're not running and jogging. If you have some kind of an activity where you are high bouts of high intensity briefly, and then you're walking, think basketball, think cardio, think baseball, think boxing and martial arts, those kind of things, then you should want to be doing HIIT training style cardio. You shouldn't be doing slow, steady state cardio. It doesn't make sense. Just make sure you're doing what you need to be doing for your end goal, basically. So moving on. Number 6, learning and progressively utilizing the most efficient exercises. So, this is a huge one that I talk about, so I'll try to keep this simple, but I do need a brief explanation for this for those of you who haven't really heard me yet. So, the human body is a machine. I mean, it's a bag of chemicals, like I said, but it's kind of a machine with a bag of chemicals wrapped around. So your body is a machine. It's a bag of chemicals wrapped around a bunch of levers. Now, these levers are connected with hinges, essentially. Think like your elbow joint is a hinge, and then the levers would be 2 sticks. You can think like my upper arm and my lower arm. Those would be levers. And then the muscle's job is basically to cross the hinge and pull the levers together. Now, without getting too much into it, I have hundreds of hours of this on YouTube already.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, a lot of it, yeah. But basically, there's an efficient way to do it. There's an inefficient way to do it. But as I've already previously stated, weight is weight, and your body does not know the difference. So you can load your bicep with 50 pounds effectively or ineffectively. So for example, I can have a 50-pound dumbbell in my hand, and I can do a bicep curl effectively and get the full load delivered to my bicep. Or I could put the dumbbell, 4 inches up my forearm and tape it here somehow, and then do the bicep curl, and I would be getting a reduced load to my bicep. I'd be getting a much less load than if it was at the end of my arm as normal. The reason for that is very simple. I shorten the lever, so because I shorten the lever, I shorten the load, lessen the magnification. The muscle is now getting less weight. Conversely, if I was to hold a broomstick in my hand and attach a 50-pound dumbbell to the end of it, I wouldn't even be able to lift it in a bicep curl because the magnification would be so great now that my bicep would be unable to handle the load. So in the same length of that, we're going to talk about just very briefly the use of momentum and inefficient exercises. So what defines an exercise as efficient is basically the targeted muscle. But you can kind of aim. So if you want to think about like aiming, you have a muscle that you'd like to train. Say it's your lateral deltoid, your side deltoid, whatever you want to call it. So you want to train your side deltoid. Well, you can aim the line of force to maximally target that. It's very easy, actually. You simply look at an anatomy chart, and you can see the lines of the muscle fibers, which direction that they go. It looks like a triangle, and it attaches on your upper arm. It's very simple to see the fibers. And then any exercise which involves you raising your upper arm in line with those fibers is utilizing your lateral or your side deltoid. It's very simple to understand. Now, the more that you take that exercise out of that particular plane of motion, you are not loading the target muscle as much, and other muscles are assisting. So again, just without getting too much into it, I have a lot of other videos on this. But again, What makes an exercise efficient is that the targeted muscle and the resistance need to be lined up such that the resistance, the load that you're lifting, is opposite the target muscle. Therefore, you get a maximum contraction in line with the muscle fibers and in the correct resistance curve. That is an effective exercise. Again, guys, a lot of videos on this, check them out. An inefficient exercise is something that does not load the target muscle or loads it with less load than it could be loaded with, let's say. Something that might even not load the target muscle at all, might completely load another muscle. A lot of exercises are like that. Something that damages your body, something that causes you to move in a way that you were basically not evolutionarily designed to move in would be damaging. These are ineffective exercises. Anything with partial range of movement is ineffective. More range of movement is always superior to less range of movement. The reason you see people with partial range of movement exercises is ego. They just have an ego. That's really the only thing it is. They have an ego. They don't understand. It is what it is.
You see that a lot.
Yeah, the quarter squats and the quarter benches and people with a bench press compression shirt on and then a slingshot across their chest, and they have their elbows wrapped, their knees wrapped. They have a piece of wood on their chest and they move the bar 4 inches with an arched back, and they call that a bench press. I mean, these people are absolutely out of their mind, insane. there's something mentally wrong with them and they have just gigantic egos and they need to be stopped. But it's not my business if they feel like, destroying their bodies for others' amusement. That's up to them. But it's very foolish. So anything with partial range of movement is silly. Anything with momentum is silly. Now I keep that real simple explanation. Your job when you're training is to break the muscle. You can break the muscle quickly, or you can take a long time to break the muscle, or you might not even break the muscle. I mean, that's how most people train. They don't even train hard enough to damage the muscle. Well, your goal is actually to damage the muscle. It's to damage it as much as you can possibly damage it. And when you do a partial range of movement, you're only damaging that very, very small place. And that's if you even get around to damaging it. You might not. When you're doing an isolated exercise or an isometric, an isometric contraction, where you're just basically statically holding something, it's useless because there's not even partial range of movement. There's no movement. You're only training in that one specific exercise. The one specific location is completely useless. Anything that's a static exercise, unless it's sport specific for some reason, is completely useless. So I'm talking about planks, side planks, anything where you're just sitting there doing nothing, statically holding something is useless. Anything that's a partial range of movement, again, I'm not going to say it's useless, but it's significantly less efficient. So why would you do it? I don't know. I can grab a pair of 80-pound dumbbells and I can do bicep curls till, for an hour straight if I so felt like it. I would be arching my back. I'd be using momentum from my legs, from my back. I could use my entire body to get those bicep curls up and call it a bicep curl. That doesn't mean anything because if I actually did it strictly with my elbows positioned, strictly 10 degrees from my side and everything lined up correctly, and I tried to lift those 80-pound dumbbells, I would be completely unable to. Even if you put a gun to my head and said you're going to pull the trigger, I wouldn't be able to do it without the aid of momentum. Therefore, it's not building my biceps. So if I took a weight that I could actually handle, and I did actually do it for 8 or 9 reps before I failed, guess what? I would damage the muscle. I would break it. That's how it works. Momentum, again, is for morons and ego lifters who feel like doing those things. It's not productive in the slightest. Not productive. You're just prolonging the exercise and you're actually increasing your lactic acid burn. It's not productive. So you want to learn the most effective exercises. Check out my videos for those. I have them all up there. They're everywhere. So check those out. Again, exercise.
Your flashcards.
Got everything. I got a book. I got flashcards. I got videos. Yeah. I got a website. I got everything. You guys know. Check it out.
Tons of material.
Lots of material. These things really need to be understood, and they're not. So moving on, learning and applying the correct set and rep ranges. So I'm going to try to keep this, again, as simple as I'm able to here. So when it comes to sets and reps, I hear this stuff all the time, that there's a strength zone, there's a hypertrophy zone, there's an endurance zone, there's all of these things. Now, those are all true to a degree, but they're overused and they're misunderstood. So basically, it's a very simple principle. Either your muscles are breaking and coming back stronger, which means you have more muscle fibers and cells, which means they are bigger, or your muscles are not being broken and they are not growing and they are not getting bigger. That means they're being maintained, which you're not actually doing work. You're just maintaining muscle. You're not really doing anything to stimulate muscle growth. Or they're going backwards, meaning there's no stimulus, there's no growth occurring, and they're being atrophied. Those are the only 3 possibilities. There are no other possibilities. There's no strength zone and hypertrophy. No. There's 3 possibilities. You are growing and getting bigger and stronger. You are maintaining, or you are not. I suppose another possibility would be you are growing and getting bigger and stronger, but very inefficiently and slowly. So there's degrees of efficiency within that range, I guess. But even that, it is what it is. So how do we build muscle? Pretty simple. I've already summarized it, but I'll do it again. Just for those of you who do not understand this simple concept, you take the correct exercise, you pick a weight that you'll be failing. Well, I should say you pick a weight that you can take till failure. That's a better way to put it. Pick a weight you can take and you will fail with that weight. And when you have completely failed, meaning the limb being operated by the target muscle no longer is able to move, you have reached failure, then your muscle is broken. The reason we know it's broken is because it can't move anymore, meaning the muscle fibers have broken or they've exhausted all of their glucose stores. but it's very hard to do that. So you've broken it. You haven't exhausted the glucose stores. You've broken it. I don't think it'd be possible to actually do that. But anyways, so moving forward, let's give you 3 examples. So let's just take Jackie here because I know your weights. So I'm going to give you a pair of 10-pound dumbbells. I'm going to put an arm blaster on you. Basically, it's going to support her elbows so they can't move. I'm going to put you on an upright bench so your back doesn't move off that bench. So you're basically completely 100% isolating your biceps. You're going to have a dumbbell in each hand. Each dumbbell is going to be 10 pounds. I'm going to come over, pick your favorite weapon, and I'm going to put a gun against your head. And I'm going to say, let's play a game. And then the game is going to be, I pull the trigger when you stop doing bicep curls. So there's a couple ways this can go. Scenario 1, you don't feel like playing the game and I shoot you. I don't think you'll do that. Scenario 2 is you get going and you feel suicidal and you stop halfway and I shoot you. Scenario 3, the most likely scenario for most people is they will continue to be doing bicep curls until their arm is completely unable to move. What I mean when I say that is full range of motion for a bicep curl would be, straight arm all the way up and then down. That would be full range. So in your case, you would be able to do that for probably 70, maybe 80 reps. Around which, well, I think so. I know you. Around which point?
Well, with a gun to my head, maybe, yeah.
With a gun to your head, yeah. Around which point in time, your range of motion would decrease, meaning it would look something more like up to here, up to here, up to here, and it would slowly decrease with the reps until you were only moving your lower arm, 2-3 centimeters at a time, until eventually it stopped moving completely. Now, let's just say for the sake of simplicity, it was exactly 100 reps, then I pulled the trigger, your brains are on the wall, okay? That's scenario 1. Scenario 2, everything is identical. The only thing that is changing is I've given you a pair of 20-pound dumbbells instead of a pair of 10-pound dumbbells. So in this scenario, let's just say everything goes exactly the same way. You take it to failure, but because it's 20 pounds, now you're going to fail at like 50 reps instead of 100, okay? Just for the sake of simplicity, let's just say you fail 50 instead of 100. So 20 pounds, you fail at 50, shoot you in the head, brain on the wall. Third scenario, I give you a pair of 35-pound dumbbells. Tick-tock. So gun to your head, same thing, everything the same. You go until you fail. You maybe get 10, 11, 12 reps at the very most, okay? And those last 2 reps are going to be crap, like nothing really, right? Okay. So what's the difference with those 3 scenarios? Ultimately, people can say all they want about volume and this, that, and the other, but really all you did in the first scenario with the 10-pound dumbbells achieving 100 reps is you failed. You broke the muscle fibers. You also have a lactic acid burn, so you're going to be really sore the next day, okay? Soreness does not equate muscle growth, by the way. You just have a lactic acid burn, that means soreness. Muscle breakage does not. So scenario 2, where you have the 20-pound dumbbells, well, you got to 50 reps and you failed. So you halved your time. So say the first one took you 8 minutes to fail. The second one probably took you about 4 minutes to get 50 reps and you failed. And in the third scenario, same thing, but you only got, let's just say 12 reps for the sake of simplicity. Well, that took you, what do you think? A minute and a half, 2 minutes before you failed? So the only difference here is time you were still alive. That and the lactic acid burn. So the first 2 scenarios, you will have a lactic acid burn. You will be sore the next day. In the third scenario, when you have the heavy weight, there is no momentum being used and you are only able to perform 12 reps. You have still failed. You've still broken and destroyed all of the muscle fibers. You've done it without the aid of anything else except the bicep. So there's no lactic acid burn and you've broken the muscle fibers. Now, how do you select that weight that is optimum? So obviously scenario 3 is optimum. I think I made that clear. But scenario 3 is optimum. You want the weight where you're failing between 8 and 12 reps. Okay, that's where you want to be failing. Now, how long are you going to be doing the reps? That's something that I can summarize very simply without getting too complicated. When you're doing your exercises, you want the contraction or the shortening of the muscle, however you want to label it. You want that to be 1 second. You want as fast as possible. Whoop, all the way up, real quick as you can, but under control and no momentum. And then you want to slowly, for 4 seconds, lower the weight. Now, the reason we do it slowly, the lengthening, the stretching, the eccentric portion of the lowering of the weight is 4 times stronger than the concentric or the raising of the weight. So most people, when they lift weights, they do this. The problem with doing this is that you're missing the benefit of 3/4 of the range of motion. You're literally taking out the benefit of breaking your muscles. So anybody who doubts this, just take your normal weights that you would normally do and try it my way. Your reps are going to be significantly decreased, and that's because you're breaking your muscle faster. The only difference is I am forcing you to break your muscle more rapidly because it's under tension for longer. Again, the reason people do these rapid exercises is because they want a lot of reps. We don't care about a lot of reps. We care about breaking the muscle quickly and efficiently, and then getting out of the gym so we can recover the muscle. Okay, so that's basically that summarized. Now, as for how we select that weight per exercise, it's pretty simple. If you want to stay between 8 and 12 reps for every single exercise, all you have to do is if you pick a weight and you go and you fail over 12 reps, say you fail at 16 reps, well, then all you need to do is basically just lower the weight raise the weight because the weight was too low. So at 16 reps, say the weight was 15 pounds, you got 16 reps and you failed, well, then you're going to be just very easily raise the weight 1 or 2 pounds, and then you will be failing within the correct rep range of 8 to 12 reps. If the weight was too heavy, then you'll get like 6 reps. You get 6 reps, well, you know the weight was too heavy, so lower the weight. Again, it's not complicated. You just need to make sure that you're failing between 8 and 12 every single time. So how often do we train like this? Well, again, the reason you have to have the most efficient exercise is so that you can take the muscle to correct perfect failure. So you have the perfect exercise, the perfect bicep curl, you have the perfect weight for you, and you fail within the correct rep range. The first set, hitting failure, will look like, say, 12 reps. The second set, coming back to it, will be like 9 reps because the muscle has already been broken and it cannot generate the same amount of intensity again. And then the third set, you'll be doing 4 or 5 reps. Now, again, this is accurate. This is correct. This is what happens when you're training with failure efficiently and correctly. You will not be doing big, heavy weights. That is what morons and ego lifters do who do not care about efficiently gaining and building muscle. They don't care about that. They just want to look impressive. They have no knowledge. What you want is the perfect exercise with no momentum, with the correct time and tension, taken till musculature failure 3 times. Now, once you've done that, you've done it correctly, you do not train that muscle again for 7 to 9 days. You don't. The reason for that is because the muscle needs time to recover back to baseline and then actually super recover, which means it now builds more muscle fibers and more muscle cells. This is what we actually want, guys. This is how we want to do this thing. So, I mean, just briefly, without too much into it, what was the difference with you when I started teaching about failure training? I mean, how did you take to it?
I wasn't doing it until failure. I was kind of doing, I was using a lot of momentum too. I was getting weights and using momentum and, just doing 3 sets, 12 reps. But failure was a totally different, it was a completely different experience for me.
But I mean, it's always surprising. I remember you always get so mad because you do like 10 reps, but then the next set around, you didn't understand because you'd want to get 10 again, but you'd get a lot less. And you're like, I don't understand. I just got 10. Well, because you broke the muscle fibers, and even getting you intense enough to get to that set to failure was always hard. It still is for you.
But also isolation, no momentum, and slowing it down, like you said. Mm-hmm. Slowing it down. So it made a big difference, huge difference.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I should say as well, I mean, I used to be, I say this before, it's in all my videos, but I used to be a power lifter, a strongman. I used to do all kinds of crazy heavy weights, guys. I mean, y'all don't even want to know. All you haters in the comments, you guys are silly. Number one, you guys are talking with no knowledge, number one. Number two, I mean, I've already literally years ago was lifting way more weight and way more efficiently and correctly than you guys ever were with the squat, deadlift, bench press, and any other workout you choose to name. I already did that when I was literally a kid. Now I'm an adult and I'm concentrating on bodybuilding and building muscle. And the last 4 years, I've been able to put on 20 pounds of muscle. So I think I know a thing or two. And you guys are just silly with your comments. I mean, but please leave the comments, the haters, because those comments, even the hateful ones, they do help my channel. Please keep leaving them, guys. No, seriously, they don't understand that. I appreciate it. But anyways, I think that covers that. Comments in the question below. I know that doesn't cover everything, and I apologize, but just a summary of it. Moving forward with your plan. So the next thing you're going to need to do is learning and applying progressive corrective diet. So this is a biggie. I got videos on this too, but let's just try to keep it simple. With most people, they approach dieting as kind of an all or nothing principle. I'm going to stick to my diet, and that's that. And we all know that does not work. And the reason that doesn't really work is because most diets, usually they're too strict, or they're just poorly planned, or you're not following them. To keep it blunt, the easiest diet, literally the easiest diet, is the one I've already laid out for you. Find out what your calories are, and then lower your calories, okay? Then we're going to talk about changing your foods a little bit. So, but the first thing you have to do before anything else is just figure out what you're eating, because for a lot of people, when they start writing down and tracking their calories and their foods, they are astonished by how many calories they're actually eating, and they're astonished by how much bad food they're actually eating. They're just completely unaware. And when it comes to bodybuilders and athletes and people trying to build muscle, y'all are not eating enough protein. Everybody thinks that they are, but the first time I have them track their protein for a couple of days, they're eating 100 grams of protein, 80 grams of protein. That is not enough to build muscle. It's just not enough. So again, your problem right there, if you're not building muscle, you ain't eating protein. So a corrective diet for anybody is just getting your diet correct. So there's just 3 parts to your diet, really: fat, carbs, and protein, of course. The most important one is protein. So guys, doesn't matter who you are in the world, I don't care who you are, you want to have a high protein diet. You want to have a minimum of 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. So if you're a 200-pound person, you got 50 pounds of fat to lose, your protein should be 150. Does that make sense? If you're a 180-pound person and you want to be 200 pounds of muscle, well, your protein should actually be more like 250, because you're probably going to be exercising, all those other things. Well, you want the protein. Also, protein helps keep you satiated, full, and all these other wonderful things. So that's good for fat loss too. Carbs and fat, you do have to have both in your diet to be healthy. Yes, y'all can debate this if you want to, but guess what? You need the carbs and the fat to have an ideal, let's just say, happiness ratio in your life. So if you have carbs and fat, you'll have energy to get through the day. The carbs will help you get through your cardio and your workout, and even help put you to sleep if you do it right. The fats are going to be for your energy, for your testosterone, for your brain. You have to have fats in your diet. Fats are good. No idea why people think they're bad. But your primary one is protein. So make sure your protein calories are set, then your fat, then your carb calories. Your carbs should always be centered around your training before and after your cardio. That's just my recommendation. Depends on the person, but that's what I would recommend. Oh, just real quick, because I got this question a lot recently. Make sure, by the way, before you go to the gym, you don't eat just before you go to the gym. You should be having a meal like an hour before you go to the gym, digesting for an hour, and then you can go work out. Some people even an hour and a half or even 2 hours. You want to have like a basically empty stomach when you go to the gym, just to cover that real quick. So, and when it goes into getting into the diet, a lot of people have trouble with it, switching foods. So again, I don't think this is a big complicated thing. Just make it a goal to every day for the first week, have 1 healthy meal by your definition. For the second week, try to have 2 healthy meals a day by your definition, And just by doing that, you already know that's going to have a big effect. Cut out the sodas as much as possible. Again, that's going to have a big effect. You already know that. Stop drinking the alcohol so much. That's going to have a big effect. You already know that. You don't need me to tell you these things. Just by doing those things alone, the weight's going to fall off you. You're going to be in a terrific mood just by doing that alone. Now, if you do that and you add your supplements to it, and you now have a goal where you're trying to go, and you know the steps of how you're going to get there, you don't need a damn resolution. You have a plan. That's better, isn't it? I think so. I mean, I think I would rather have a map to Treasure Island than somebody telling me it existed, personally, But let's cover up the rest of these couple things here. So that's about it for the exercise and diet part. But guess what? You can't have a healthy lifestyle. You can't have a healthy body and everything else if you don't have some other things. So we're going to talk about that too. So, well, do you have anything to add real quick? I apologize.
No, you're doing
Monopolizing completely here. Do you think I missed anything? Should I cover something perhaps?
No.
Thorough enough? Okay.
No, I think you're very thorough.
Thank you for your patience, you and everyone.
Why? I'm enjoying
doing my best here.
No, you're doing great.
I'm usually more lengthy with these explanations, trying to keep them short. So, all right. So I apologize. Number 9. We're going to talk about decluttering, reorganizing your lifestyle and your environment. I covered it briefly in the beginning, but to keep it real simple, if you have negative people in your life, why? Why do you have them in your life? Why? They're not helping you. They're not. They're making your life worse. I do not care who the person is. Are they your friend of 10 years? They're being negative. Slowly push them away if you're agreeable. If you're disagreeable, tell them to leave you alone for a while. If you're somewhere in between, have a chat with them and say you don't think they're very healthy for you. Stop spending less time with them, whatever it needs to be. Get the losers and the negative people out of your life. If you want to be successful, you surround yourself with successful people. When I was a kid, where I grew up, let's just say it was not a place where you find successful people. It was the bottom of the barrel. I won't elaborate, but I surrounded myself with successful people. This was pre-internet in my case. I had books, lots and lots of books, people telling me how they made it, autobiographies, all these things I used to read. And that's how I surrounded myself in the beginning as a child with successful people. As the internet came around, I started watching YouTube videos, websites, reading articles, then came along podcasts. I still do podcasts daily for several hours. I surround myself with people I want to be like, people I find inspiring, people who tell me tips and tricks, people like myself who are trying to get information out there just to help others. That's who I listen to. That's who I surround myself with. I know most people, you're not surrounded by those people because we're very rare and we're usually, somewhere working hard. We're not socializing. So, guys, you have to reorganize your environment, meaning the people in your environment. Your phone, whether you want to admit it or not, your phone is a huge part of your life. And if your phone has games, dating apps, all these silly things on there that are not productive, that they're literally taking hours, and if not hours, minutes and minutes and minutes of your day away. And we all know it's hours, more like. Delete them. Become a ghost. Yeah. Get rid of your Facebook. Get rid of your Instagram. Why does anyone need to know what you're doing? Why does anyone need to know what you're doing? If they do, they're just going to judge you, criticize you, and be jealous. Work in silence. Okay? Work in silence. So get rid of that. If you have dating apps, why do you have that? Why you have that if you're not even happy with yourself? Why are you looking for a relationship if you're not happy with yourself? I got news for you. If you're not happy with yourself, finding somebody else is not going to make you any happier. It's not. It's just going to distract you from making yourself the version of yourself who would be happy, and you will blame the other person for it. Get rid of them. If you have those looking for just some tail or some whatever, get rid of it. That's a distraction, okay? Get rid of it. You don't need it, man or woman. Get rid of it. It's what the internet's for, okay? I'll leave that alone. Your house. Guys, your house. You cannot have a cluttered environment. Where you live, what you surround yourself with is your brain. If your house is a mess, your brain's a mess. You can't work like that. You can't live like that. I've literally heard people make the argument that geniuses are messy. That is the opposite of true. The more intelligent you are, the cleaner and more organized your house is. And if you're a messy person, you're clean and you're intelligent, guess what? You probably just hire a freaking maid to do it for you. But we live in clean environments. My house is meticulously clean because I can't stand clutter. It drives me insane. I'm OCD, proud of it. I make it more OCD if I can. OCD is just organizing chaos, which is all I do anyway. So I'm quite happy to have my home organized the way it is. My home is set up in stations. I have my workout station, my workstation, my study station, my reading station. Everything has a place. I'm set up for success. You guys also should set up your house for success. If you have things in your house you're not using, throw them out. They're just dead weight. Get rid of them, donate them, give them to somebody, make you feel good. Get rid of them. You don't need them, okay? If you live in a house with a lot of people and you're having trouble getting work done, find somewhere to go do the work, or make your house, like your bedroom in the house, your temple. Just get everything out except for the things that you need to be successful. Their house is full of crap. Make your room empty except for the things that you need for success. Okay? So organize your house, your family, your friends, organize them too. They're part of it. Seriously, they are part of it. Organize everything that you can organize. If it's in your ability to control it, do so. And if you don't think anything in your life needs to be organized, I mean, you need to sit down and have a think, because I don't know anybody who couldn't organize their house or their life a little bit better. And that includes myself. Everyone could. So just sit down, have a think, grab a notebook, start writing things down, and slowly work your way through that list during the week. Don't turn into a monster. Just today I'm going to organize the bathroom. Tomorrow I'm going to organize the bedroom. The next day I'm going to donate the things I found. Do it progressively over days. Don't try to do it all in one day. This is going to terrify you. Don't do it. So that's about it. Next. Well, anything to add on that? Because you just moved to a new house, and I know that you didn't really bring that much with you because you wanted it nice and clean and empty in there, right?
Well, it's a bigger house, but I did throw out a lot.
It's a beautiful house, by the way.
Thank you.
House. Stunning.
Thank you.
I'm very jealous. It's a beautiful house.
Jealous or silly.
No, I'm not. I like my house anyways.
You have a great house.
Yeah, but anyways, well, let's get on to the next one though. So this is important, guys. Again, for you New Year's resolutioners, you people listening to this want to create your plan. You can't have a plan. You can't do these 9 days training, your diet. You can't do the tracking. You can't do that if you don't have a schedule. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Your brain's not that good. Nobody's brain's that good. So here's how it works. You get a calendar. I don't care what kind of calendar. Paper calendar. I like paper calendars. Get a whiteboard calendar. I have one of those too. Get a phone calendar. I got one of those too. Get a Google Calendar. I also have one of those. I have a lot of calendars in case you hadn't noticed. I like to keep things scheduled. I have, I think, 6 calendars total, and I use them all religiously, and I still sometimes forget things because I have a lot going on. But for most of you, 1 calendar is sufficient. I'm personally not a big advocate of the calendar on your phone. I like things to be handwritten. So I do prefer you guys get a calendar like for your wall and for your desk, so you can handwrite these things. It's just very simple. There's about 23 exercises you guys need to know. That's it. The perfect 23. They're all over my YouTube and everywhere else that I have. Check them out if you haven't seen them already. You need to be applying these exercises over a period of 9 days without duplication. So if you do biceps, triceps, and abs on a Monday, you will not be doing them until the next Wednesday. So you have to schedule that in your calendar. So just make sure that your exercises are set up so that you're not targeting them outside the 7 to 9 day range. That's how you'll be structuring your week of exercises. Now, if you do this correctly, there's only 23 exercises you need, which means you can break it up however you want. So 10 exercises, whatever, or I should say 5 exercises, 3 or 4 days a week, or you can do 2 exercises a day or 3 exercises a day, however you guys want to do it. You can customize it to your schedule, but just make sure that you're not doubling the exercises in that 7 to 9 day period. Just don't do that. And you can schedule it any way that you want. Now, the reason I like to do it like this is because if I schedule my exercises to have exercise every day for 9 days, my workouts are 15 minutes to 25 minutes. I'm in the gym. I do super high intense workouts, 3 sets with the perfect exercises. I'm in and I'm out, 25 minutes. That's how it works. Every day, 9 days a week. My cardio every day, about an hour, sometimes 2 hours, just depends. But it's pretty simple, but you have to schedule it. So you put on your calendar today, 30-minute walk, biceps, triceps, and abs. Tomorrow, quads, hamstrings, and calves, 30-minute walk. I mean, just put it on your calendar. Put on your calendar today, 1 healthy meal. Put it on your calendar. Write it down. Write the whole month out. Stick it somewhere. You're going to see it every day. Follow it. Check it off. It doesn't have to be a perfect day. You don't have to have a perfect day. You have to do your best. If you miss something, try to make it up the next day. If that's not possible, don't sweat it. Just do your best. You fall off the wagon, stop, get a new calendar, plan it out again, start the next day. Okay, it's not that hard. Just start again, start again, start again. It's a big thing I say all the time. We're about to get into it, but I want you guys all to be failures. but never quitters. You should all be failing regularly, failing constantly, failing on a daily basis, because failure means you are stretching your capabilities. It means you're getting uncomfortable. You should all be failing, but you should not be quitting. Quitting means I stop trying to make progress. Don't do that, guys. Don't. There's no reason for it. Every day is a new day. Anyways, so just make sure that you schedule all that stuff. I have videos on all of these topics. I'm just trying to give you a summary in this video. So moving forward, adapt and overcome daily. Every day is a new day. So we'll just get into this briefly with, let's say, cardio and workouts. Say you're used to walking outside for your cardio. Every day you walk outside for your cardio. Well, it's raining or it's snowing or there's a hurricane or something. Can't walk outside for my cardio. Oh no, what do I do? Oh, heaven forbid, no cardio today. No, you just walk on a treadmill. Okay, you don't have a treadmill to walk on? Well, just do jogging in place in your house. Do a fun YouTube cardio. Do jump rope. Do anything. Anything is better than nothing. Okay, so just anything is better than nothing. If you are at a hotel, if you travel a lot, you don't have access to most of the equipment that you're used to having. You don't have this for the gym. You don't have this for your workout. Do a different workout that day that you can do. Just change your days. Not a big deal. If you don't want to do that, well, just watch my videos. I show you how to work out every body part with basically anything you could think of.
Right.
So just, check those out. There's always a way to exercise perfectly. There's almost never a reason to compromise the efficiency of an exercise unless you're ignorant of it or you choose to ignore to do so. It's biomechanics, very easy to understand. I think I make a lot of videos about it. The perfect exercises are very easy to understand. You can do them multiple ways, multiple machines, multiple scenarios with dumbbells, with weights, with sand, with ankle weights, with anything, with machines, with pulleys, with ropes, with you name it, you can do these exercises. There's no reason for you to be missing a day of exercise. There's just no reason for it. So you can always adapt. You can always overcome every scenario, anything, always. And that's that. So just understand that all your excuses are bullshit is what I'm trying to tell you. So for every bullshit excuse you have, I want you to think of 10 compelling reasons why it's a bullshit excuse and why you need to get this done. And then you can bury that fucking excuse, okay? Just bury it with those reasons. You don't need that shit. Drown it. Anyway, and then the final one, number 12, I think the most important one, personally, is I want you guys to fail but never quit. So when you are in the gym and you're training and you're doing your bicep curls till failure, do it till you fail. Don't quit because the pain is too much. That's silly. You're in the gym doing your workout, if you're doing it my way anyways, for 15 minutes. You're doing your actual set for about a minute and a half. Are you telling me your determination to change, your determination to build muscle, you're telling me your determination is so freaking fragile, it can't stand up to a minute and 30 seconds of lactic acid muscle pain? You're going to sit there and say that to my face, to your face? You'll disrespect yourself like that, your own commitment? I don't think so. I'm not asking for a lot, guys. I'm asking for you guys to listen to the advice I just gave you. It is all logical. It is all sensible. It's all scientifically based. I kind of summarized it. I hope I did a good job, but I have other videos on this where I get more in detail to it. This is how you stick to a New Year's resolution, because it's not a New Year's resolution. It is a plan. It's a concrete plan. You can do this if you want over 12 days. Take your time, take each step, dissect it, write it down, think about it. If you are unwilling to write these steps down, if you're unwilling to write it down on the calendar, if you're unwilling to do the work, I cannot help you, and neither can anyone else. No one can come there and feed you. Nobody's going to buy the groceries and stock your cupboard for you. Nobody's coming to scream in your ear to wake up and do your cardio. No one is going to do that. You're the only one who can do that. And the only way you can do that is by not quitting. I don't care if you make the perfect plan and you fail the first day and you don't do a single thing on that plan. You do better the next day. You do a 5-minute walk, for God's sakes, and then the next day you do a 6-minute walk. And if it takes you 3 years to lose the 50 pounds. It takes you 3 years, but you didn't quit and you didn't stop. You fell off the wagon and you got back up. Sounds like good cardio to me anyways, and it's character building. Surviving failure, surviving embarrassment, these things are character building. They're good for you. They make you part of the population of people who are actually willing to suffer for what they want. In case you didn't know this, the way the world works is you have to sacrifice shit to get other shit. So if you want to get fat, you have to eat a bunch of food, but you're sacrificing your freedom and health. If you want to lose that fat, you have to sacrifice your time and your energy. That's the way it works. Now, in my opinion, it's actually easier to lose weight than it is to put it on. I actually think, I know it's controversial, but if you know how it happens, it's actually easier to take it off than put it on. But guys, I hope this helps. Did I miss anything? I know I missed a ton of shit.
No, I think you did a great job.
Anything obvious I missed, I think, maybe?
Oh, I know. Just emphasizing that when you start a plan like this, every little accomplishment, you feel really good. I mean, mentally, it's very rewarding. And that usually gives you the momentum and the motivation to do more and do more and do more. And like you said, the most important thing is if you fail one day, just go the next day and start all over again.
Yeah.
And the mental rewards is the best thing, I think, of anything else. Yeah.
You know, one last thing.
Really good about yourself.
One last thing I should probably touch on is, I mean, again, I think everybody says this enough, but I will say it again just to end this kind of, guys, do not compare yourself to other people.
Right.
You're not their age. You don't have their genetics. You don't have their upbringing, their resources. You don't know what kind of training they did in the past. You don't know you know nothing about those people. They're not you. Why in God's name are you comparing yourself to them? Doesn't make any goddamn sense, okay? You have your own individual body and genetics. And just by that token alone, you have to take care of yourself individually. So again, the wonderful thing about tracking is if you're tracking your progress, you can literally see yourself getting better in incremental percentages every day. That's incredibly powerful because it's like a health bar in a video game or a temperature thing for a fundraiser. You know, you can see it filling up. You can see your goals getting accomplished. You can see the puzzle being put together. You can see it happening. But this is the trouble why people fall off the wagon. They don't want to get back on. Is because they're just like, oh, all my progress went to shit. No, you had one day. Just like if I took you to a buffet and I stuffed you full of food and I gave you 20,000 calories, you're not going to digest and put all that on your body as fat in one day. You're not going to gain 30 pounds of fat. That's not the way it works, guys. You're gonna gain like a quarter pound of fat and you're gonna poop the rest out. It was one day. Okay? Now get back on the plan the next day. It's not that big of a deal, but just understand now you have an additional enemy. Now you fell off your plan. So now you have some defeating voices coming up in your head. You probably cheated on your diet, so you got some gut bacteria who's now, you got to go to battle with those guys. They're going to be causing you to have food cravings. Just understand it's not you being mentally weak. It's your gut bacteria. You got an enemy you can name. You can fight that son of a bitch. You're going to have some other problems getting back on the wagon, but that's why you shouldn't get back on the wagon and immediately start trying to go hardcore like you did the day before. If you can, great. But in my experience, most people can't. They have to start with like a half day or a 50% day. And then the next day they'll have a 75% day. And then they're back fully on board with the program. But that's never going to happen unless you give yourself the ability to get back on there. Don't quit. Don't quit. Just, I fucked up. I'm human. These things happen. I was weak. Next day. Okay. Doing my best today. Let's get back going. Okay. I will not quit. I'm a failure. And I'm a screw up like most humans because that's the only way you learn anything. But I'm not a quitter. So that's how you guys got to be this year. With your New Year's resolution, make it clear, concise. Develop a plan of action, apply, and attack. And of course, you know, guys, if you want help doing this, call me up. Ready to help you guys. Always here to help you. And obviously, it'll be a little bit more in depth than this. But for those of you guys, the rest of you who just need the information, here it is. and I hope it helps. Jackie, I apologize you weren't that much of a help for this podcast, but I'm glad you were here, so I had somebody
No,
to
I
talk
love
to.
being here.
I always feel very strange when I just sit here talking to a camera, but it's very helpful seeing you. It's been a minute.
No, I enjoy it.
Anyways.
I enjoy it. I always love hearing what you have to say. Thank you for your great advice.